Did you ever wonder what would happen if demon moons fought against each other in blood battles? How would these fights play out? And is there a demon who'd manage to climb through the ranks and become the new Upper Moon 1? Well, after researching and rereading manga many times, I figured out exactly what would happen, and some of these outcomes you are definitely not expecting. For example, check out this battle where Gyutaro and Daki fight against Gyoko. Judging by the rank of the demons, it is logical to think that Gyoko would win here since he has a higher rank. However, it's not that straightforward, and it'd actually be really hard for Gyoko to win this one. Gyutaro and Daki are the only upper moons that fight together, which would already make it pretty hard for Gyoko as he'd have to keep track of 2 opponents simultaneously. Moreover, the strength difference between Gyutaro and Gyoko doesn't seem to be that big, as both demons dominated their fights against Hashira and only lost due to Demon Slayer marks. During the Upper Moon meeting, even Muzan stated that Gyutaro would be a higher rank if Daki wasn't holding him back, meaning that he might even be stronger than Gyoko in Muzan's eyes. However, the most significant advantage the siblings have over the Upper Moon 5 is that both of them have to be decapitated simultaneously, which would be pretty much impossible for Gyoko to do alone. So if they play their cards right, Gyutaro and Daki should be able to defeat Gyoko and take his spot as the new Upper Moon 5 demons. Okay, this fight turned out pretty interesting, but there are still 4 more incredible battles to cover, and let's continue with the one for the Upper 4 title between Gyoko and Hantengu. With his Blood Demon art, Gyoko should be able to easily dodge all the attacks of Hantengu's clones, as he can just teleport to a different location each time he is threatened. Also, let's not forget that Gyoko can also spawn his own fish monsters to fight for him. Although these creatures are not as strong as Hantengu's clones, they should still be really helpful, as Gyoko could use them as bait and strike the clones when they are not expecting it. In the anime, it was said that each of the clones is as strong as the Upper Moon demon. However, given the fact that Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya were able to defeat pretty much all of them, they seem to be much weaker than Gyoko. So, utilizing his fish monsters and blood demon art, I think Gyoko should be able to handle Hantengu's clones and find the main body. However, this is where things get hard for Gyoko, as soon as he gets close to the main body, Hantengu will merge all of his clones and transform into his strongest form, Zohakuten. Zohakuten is incredibly powerful, and his strength is incomparable to Hantengu's previous forms. Even if Gyoko transforms into his final form, I just don't see a way he could contend against this monster. The only reason Tanjiro managed to kill the real body was because Mitsuri stayed behind to keep Zohakuten busy, and since Gyoko is all alone in this fight, there's just no way he'd be able to do it. Therefore, Hantengu would win this blood battle, maintaining his current rank. But now, the real challenge awaits him, as if he wants to progress further through the ranks, he'll have to face the current upper rank 3, 𝐴𝐾𝐲. As the upper rank 3, 𝐴𝐾𝐲 is remarkably strong and a master of hand-to-hand combat, which, in combination with his blood demon art, makes him a highly formidable foe. During his life as a demon, 𝐴𝐾𝐲 has fought against and defeated numerous Hashiras without breaking a sweat. And during the last arc in the manga, he battled against both Tanjiro and Giyu, 2 marked demon slayers on equal footing. Based on this, 𝐴𝐾𝐲 would easily dominate Hantengu's clones, toying with them and swiftly taking them down. Due to 𝐴𝐾𝐲's overwhelming strength, Hantengu would immediately be forced to transform into his strongest form, starting the real blood battle. Using his Soryu style and blood demon art, 𝐴𝐾𝐲 would easily counter Zohakuten's wide-ranged attacks. He will take his time to enjoy the fight, and then, using his compass needle ability, he'll find Zohakuten's vital points and go for the kill. However, even after successfully beheading him, Zohakuten would just regenerate, as the main body would still be alive. This is where the battle gets difficult for 𝐴𝐾𝐲, as he not only has to defend against Zohakuten's attacks, but also find the main body simultaneously. But it gets even harder. You see, 𝐴𝐾𝐲's abilities allow him to sense killing intent, which he uses to locate and keep track of his opponents. Do you see a problem with this? That's right, since Hantengu is a massive coward with no desire to fight at all, 𝐴𝐾𝐲 wouldn't be able to sense him. The only thing he could do is just run around and search for him manually. But considering that he also has to keep an eye on Zohakuten and not die, this would pretty much be impossible. No matter how many times 𝐴𝐾𝐲 beheads him, Zohakuten will just keep on regenerating, giving 𝐴𝐾𝐲 no time to search for the main body. So, in the end, despite all of 𝐴𝐾𝐲's efforts, this blood battle will end in a draw. Of course, this doesn't mean that Hantengu is on the same level of strength as 𝐴𝐾𝐲, it's just that due to Hantengu's exceptional circumstances, it's very hard for one single opponent to defeat him. Anyway, Since the battle ended in a draw, 𝐂𝐸𝐶𝐻 will still retain his Upper Moon 3 title. Before we cover the ultimate fight for the Upper Rank 1 title, let's first go over the long-awaited fight between 𝗕𝗲 and 𝗂𝐸𝐶. This would be an exciting battle, and the hardest one to predict. We arguably never got to see 𝗕𝗲's full strength in the show, as he has never been serious during his fights. Furthermore, he never really faced an opponent who would push him to his limits like the other Demon Moons did. Because of this, it's hard to estimate his actual strength and just how far he could go. However, one thing is certain. This would be a really long and exhausting battle for both demons, where even minor mistakes could cost them their lives. 𝗕𝗲 is always faking a carefree and playful attitude, but in reality, he cannot feel any emotions. This is a big problem for 𝗂𝐸𝐶, as he wouldn't be able to sense 𝗕𝗲's fighting spirit. Due to this, 𝗂𝐸𝐶's compass needle ability would be pretty much useless, which will give 𝗕𝗲 an upper hand. Another reason why 𝗕𝗲 may have a slight upper hand is because he always prioritized eating humans to get stronger, especially women, who he says are the most nutritious. 𝗂𝐸𝐶, on the other hand, has vowed never to eat women, which greatly limits him. Another interesting thing is that both moons have completely opposite fighting styles. 𝗂𝐸𝐶 prefers close combat encounters due to his mastery of martial arts. At the same time, 𝗕𝗲 is more comfortable at a long range, where he can safely use his abilities to deal lethal damage. Although it's pretty much impossible to guess the winner of this fight, based on all the things we have discussed so far, 𝗕𝗲 seems to have higher chances of winning. A conversation that solidifies this happened in Season 3 when 𝗂𝐸𝐶 told 𝗂𝐸𝐶 that if he's unhappy with the current rankings, he can always request a battle with 𝗕𝗲 and take his place. However, even after being offered this, 𝗂𝐸𝐶 didn't do it and instead angrily left the castle. I don't know about you guys, but to me, the whole conversation seemed like 𝗂𝐸𝐶 knew he wasn't as strong as 𝗕𝗲 and needed to train more before challenging him. So, although this would probably be the hardest battle in 𝗕𝗲's life, he would eventually emerge victorious and keep his upper 2 ranking. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, it's time for the ultimate blood battle that will determine the holder of the Upper Rank 1 title, 𝗕𝗲 versus 𝗂𝐸𝐶. 𝗂𝐸𝐶 is the highest ranked demon amongst the 12 Kizuki, second only to the Demon King himself. Over his nearly 500-year-long life, 𝗂𝐸𝐶 has battled numerous demon slayers and killed multiple Hashiras. He has refined his skills to absolute perfection, mastering total concentration breathing and even the transparent world. Considering all this, you may think this would be an easy win for 𝗂𝐸𝐶, but underestimating 𝗕𝗲 would be a grave mistake, as he won't go down without a fight. Although 𝗕𝗲 is much younger than 𝗂𝐸𝐶, in a short period of time, he managed to surpass pretty much every demon and rise to the Upper Rank 2. Additionally, he was shown effortlessly defeating many Hashira-level fighters, such as Kunai, Inosuke, Kanao, and Shinobu. The battle between these two would be epic, and even a single attack could decide the winner. 𝗕𝗲's one advantage in this duel is that his blood demon art, cryokinesis, is much more versatile than 𝗂𝐸𝐶's moon breathing. He's able to perform a bunch of unique attacks with it, like creating ice shards, frost that is lethal to inhale, and even ice clones of himself, which he claims are as strong as him. All of these different techniques would definitely keep 𝗂𝐸𝐶 on his toes, as he'd never know what to expect. On the other hand, although 𝗂𝐸𝐶's moon breathing may not be as versatile as 𝗕𝗲's techniques, it's much deadlier and harder to dodge, as he can create multiple crescent moons from his katana and send them toward opponents. However, most importantly, 𝗂𝐸𝐶 has a transparent world ability, allowing him to easily predict attacks and find enemies' weak spots. Okay, so after all of this, how would this battle actually play out? In the beginning, 𝗕𝗲 would definitely be able to keep up with 𝗂𝐸𝐶's attacks, fighting toe-to-toe against him, better than Gyomei and the other Hashira could. The two demons would trade blows, but using the transparent world, 𝗂𝐸𝐶 would avoid any serious injury. On the contrary, 𝗕𝗲 would take a lot of serious damage, but due to his regenerative abilities, he'd quickly recover and continue fighting. Due to this, the battle would be extremely long, and although the power gap between the two is not that big, it's considerable enough for 𝗂𝐸𝐶 to eventually win here. Therefore, he'd keep his rank as the strongest demon moon ever. Click on this video next, where we covered 13 plot holes in Demon Slayer. Go on, click it.